Hello, so this is going to be a video on the Polish DP-75 Geiger Counter, and this was kindly sent to me by Beastoree to review, so check out his eBay page below. He's got these for sale. There's probably other sellers of these as well. I believe he's got these listed for £85, but they're not necessarily listed as all working and including all the kit. So £85 is very good if you get one in working condition, but I don't know if, like I said, that's guaranteed of all of these. So I'll show you what you get in the kit. So you get the wooden carry case, which is quite nice. You can keep it all protected in. So let's get that open, and then we'll fold this down and open that up. So what you get is the Geiger counter itself in its actual leather carry case, which is quite nice. It might actually be like a fake plasticky leather, but it's quite a solid material. Two straps for attaching to it. I'll get this all out so you can see it. There's the Geiger counter in its box. We'll take a proper look at that in a minute. A dosimeter, that's a DP-75 dosimeter pen. I can show you how to charge that on this because you can charge them using the Geiger counters. Instruction manuals and a service log. I'm not really bothered looking at those for this video, but it's interesting if you want the history behind some of these bits. Screwdriver, that's a pretty standard piece of kit, most people have one of those anyway. The extension wand for it. The headset, so you can hear the alarms and the beeps. And some plugs and other tools in here, which, you know, I've not really found any use for them, but they're there. So, as I said, it's quite a nice kit. So if you're familiar with the earlier version, the DP-66, this is basically that but improved. So what we're going to do now, obviously, is have a look at the unit itself. So I'll just put that there. So, as I said, it comes in this kind of, I'm not sure if it's real leather or fake leather, but quite a nice case. So we open it up, and there's the unit itself. So what you've got here is obviously the DP-75. You've got a circuit test function and an alarm function, which the DP-66 didn't have, the alarm that is. So how that works is you set the alarm, it goes from 1 to 5, and the infinity symbol basically means that the alarm won't go off. So when it's set to 1, whatever scale you've got the needle set to, it hits 1, it will sound the alarm. When it's set to 2, 2. When it's set to 5, it's only if it goes off the scale. So that should be quite simple. So let's put on 5 to begin with. And here we have the counter settings. So you can put this all the way across. Now if it's on 0.5, that's probably the measurement you want to begin using. It does both MilliRoentgen per hour and Roentgen per hour. And the scale of this goes from 0.5 MilliRoentgen per hour all the way up to 500 Roentgen per hour multipliers. So when it's on 500 Roentgen per hour, it can times that by 5, so that'd be 2,500 Roentgen per hour, the max capacity of this unit, which is pretty bloody high for a normal Geiger counter. That's the dosimeter pen charging slot there, similar to the DP-66, and the zeroing wheel for it. I believe you're meant to turn that all the way to the left, put the dosimeter pen in, then turn that all the way right till it's zeroed. So that charges in there, but I'll demonstrate that a bit later. It takes 3 D-cell batteries, and the nice thing, at least for the Polish units, are that it's D-cell, so it's batteries you can easily use. And that's the headphone socket there. In this bit is where you store the probe when you're not using it. So if I just open that up, we'll get all this out and assemble it. This is a pretty standard thing, so you get this and put this bit here and twist it on. Sort of has a bayonet fitting. There we go, that's that on there. And you open this bit here to use the beta window for checking beta radiation. With it closed, it detects gamma and X-rays. It won't detect alpha radiation because it doesn't have an alpha probe. Whether or not it's possible to get other alpha probes you can fit to this, I don't know, because you can do that with some other Geiger counters. But for most people, beta and gamma is what you'll be using a Geiger counter for. Alpha's interesting, but you generally need very specific scientific units to do that, like I've got with the thing. I believe in theory you can take this out of the carry case. Now there's a screw at the bottom I've just noticed here, so let me try and screw in that and see if I can actually get it out that way. I mean, obviously it's easier if you just keep everything in the carry case, but let's see. Will this come out? It actually looks like it's lifting out this time. Let me just try taking the battery compartment bit off. Now, I'll just take the battery out in a moment. So as you can see, D cells. It's easiest if you buy rechargeables for these. I'll need to get that bit off of that. And let's see if this will pop out now. I might need to undo this bit a little bit more. I think it's coming, there we go. So that's the unit itself. As you can see, a fair bit smaller than the old DP-60. For this video I might as well leave out the case so you can see all the Geiger counter stuff properly. That's the side if you wanted to do it via electrical leads, not the batteries, but as I said, because it's D cells and you can put rechargeable D cells in, that is the easiest way of doing it. So, get the cover back on. These can be a bit fiddly, the caps on these, because the spring pressure is quite high while you're trying to screw it in. Alright, there we go. So let's also pop the headphones on, wherever I put those. There we go. So you simply plug these in. I'm just trying to remember which way it goes around. It's this way, isn't it? Because when it's in the outer case you can check it that way. So there's the headphone unit, so you can use this to listen to it clicking and beeping. So what I want to try and do if possible is get this close enough, I don't know if it will be possible, to the camera so you can hear it ticking when I've got it on. So one moment. Right, I've hooked, as you can see the wire there, the microphone, or the headset over. So if we do a circuit test, that is this bit here. I'll need to turn it on first. There we go. That's the alarm. That's the alarm. So yeah, it's working. So I'll put that back onto infinity now. So what we'll do is put this all the way down to the MilliRoentgen scale. And as you can see, it's already picking up background radiation. Let me just see if I can get that a bit more central on the camera. And hopefully get rid of any glare, if possible. There we go. Right, that looks pretty perfect. So, as you can see, what it's detecting at the moment, because the beta window's closed, is just a tiny bit of gamma radiation. There is always gamma radiation around. You will never, as far as I'm aware, be anywhere where there is a completely zero amount of gamma radiation. You can press this button to light up the back screen. I don't know how visible that is. These also glow in the dark, like the DP-66s, and the KAS button zeroes it. There we go. So that's down to 0. Zeroing is quite useful, obviously, if you're messing about with high radioactivity items and you want to quickly do it. So what you do with this is, you'd normally have it in the 0.5 function. Then what you'd do is, if it went off the scale, you'd flick it to the next one. If it's still off the scale, you flick it to the next one and keep going. And when you're detecting radiation, when the needle stops somewhere, that's the bit where you work out what multiplier you're on and you get a reading. So let me just demonstrate that now using a couple of different radioactive items so you can sort of get an idea of how you get a reading off of this. Okay, right, I'll put the probe here so you can see it, just about. And what I'll do now is first start off with gamma items. So we've got a bit of thorium here, and thorium I do believe gives off a bit of gamma radiation. Yeah, it looks like that thing. I think a lot of this is beta though. So as you can see, that's higher than background levels, but it's not super high. Yeah, so we'll wait till the needle stabilises. It's probably, because this is on 0.5, just going to be literally 0.5 to sort of 0.25 milliroentgen per hour. MilliRoentgen, there's 1,000 milliroentgens in a Roentgen, so that's an easy thing to work out. So, yeah, not all that much gamma coming off of this. Let's try a bit of Fiesta ware. That's, you know, the radioactive pottery stuff, so let's put that there. How much gamma comes off of Fiesta ware? Not very much by the look of it. It's probably mostly alpha and beta on Fiesta ware. Let me just put it on the other side of the probe in case that makes a difference, but no, I think by the look of it, Fiesta ware is pretty low in gamma. Let me just get my bit of americinium, because that gives off a little bit of gamma, and you should see the needle move for that at least. Okay, so a bit of americinium from a smoke alarm. As you can see, pretty small. We'll just put that there. But the needle's moving. So yeah, there's that. but it's, yeah, not massively hot because it mostly gives off lots of alpha radiation. I've also got some uranium ore here, so let's put that there and see if that gives off anything particular. I'll open up the little tub. Again, a bit of radiation, but not much because all this stuff is relatively safe. But what we'll do now is to show that it's actually going to do stuff, we're going to open the beta window on this, and then you will start seeing some really interesting results. So you simply just unscrew this, makes a bit of a horrible noise. There we go. Right. And that's the beta window, so that lets through beta radiation, if I hold it in frame, because what that is obviously just a bit of film covering up the tubes. So how this works is obviously beta radiation can pass through there, but beta can't penetrate this, the sort of steel or aluminium outer shell, but beta can penetrate film and plastic layers. So we'll put that back down there with that bit facing up. Then all of a sudden, if we get something like the uranium ore, well, that's still not actually giving off all that much level. Let's just zero it again. Right, there we go. And pop this here. There we go, there's a bit of activity there, but hopefully you can hear it clicking on the camera as well. Yeah, it's a bit of activity. Oh, and I've dropped my uranium on the floor, which is never good. Yeah, don't do what I've done and just drop uranium on your floor. But again, this is just little bits of uranium ore, so not very hot. If we use the Beastoree now, there we go. Right, that's off the scale. So let me just zero that again. So let's say we had it set to 5, the alarm. What would happen is when it starts going off the scale, as it's set to 5, that's when, yeah, the alarm sounds. We'll put that off again now because the alarm can be a bit annoying if you're actually just messing about with stuff. So what you'd do is, say you'd got a radioactive sample and it had gone off the scale, you'd then dial it up to the next setting. If it's still off the scale, in a few seconds, because you can see the needle going back down a bit, so it's probably stabilising on the Beastoree in a sort of 300 thing. Now, as this is times 5, I imagine what you'd do is you'd say, right, that's 200, let's just say it's 200 MilliRoentgen per hour from that. So times 5, yeah, it's about 1 Roentgen per hour. But I don't think it is actually that high, the Beastoree, because if we, for example, I'm not sure which scale you're meant to use for the MilliRoentgens, but then again, if we've put it now on 50 times multiplier, you'll probably see that the needle, although it will move, won't be all that high on there. Yeah, that's stabilising. Let's put the thorium on top as well and see if that increases the radioactivity coming through. It might actually just end up being less. Right, let's go back to there. We'll take this off, the Beastoree, take this off, let's reset it, and then put the thorium on. What does the thorium read? Yeah, the thorium's not quite as hot as the Beastoree, but yeah, we would want to go on to the next setting for that. And then on the times 5 multiplier, what you'll eventually see is kind of where it will stabilise. So yeah, we're going to probably, on the thorium mantle, 1 times 5, so 5, either 5 MilliRoentgen per hour, or probably something like, if it's getting to 50 or just under 250 or less MilliRoentgen per hour, that would make sense for this. Right, so now I imagine you want to see something really funny and scary on it. So let's get the strontium-90 out. So this is what they actually used as the check sources for these. So I've shown the strontium-90 before, but this is interesting. Let's just zoom out a bit more. So strontium-90 is one of the things you get from fallout. So let's put the thing directly over the strontium-90. Oh, we're off the scale. Let's go up 1. Oh, we're off the scale. Let's go up 1. Oh, and this should be where we'll end up getting a reading, because we're now on the Roentgen per hour reading, not the MilliRoentgens. So Roentgens per hour, it's 0.5 scale, so we just halve the number that's on there. That's right up against there. So whatever it stops on now we halve. And about 2.5, so 1.25 Roentgen per hour, very high in radioactivity. So what I'm going to do now is obviously seal the bloody, what's it off? The strontium. And yeah, so that's how you use one of these Geiger counters. Now I'm just going to show you how you actually zero a dosimeter on here. Okay, so what you do, you take your dosimeter pen, and I don't know if this will show up on the camera properly, but if you look through there while looking at a light, what you end up seeing is a dosimeter scale. So what we'll do, we'll unscrew this end, and you get that bit showing. So what we do now, unscrew this, pop this on here, and push down, and what will happen now, if I look through there, yeah, there we go, we will be able to see the meter. So I don't know if I can get the camera on this. Let's have a look. It'd be good if I could, but I don't know if it's going to be possible. So bear with me while I play about with the angle a bit. You can see it's lit up though, but what you essentially do is look through this eyepiece. It's probably going to be really difficult to show this on the camera, but what you end up seeing is the sort of lit up scale. You can see the 50 there, look. But yeah, so just bear with me where obviously I can't really show this, but you look through there and you see the light. So I'll zoom out, and then what we do is just rearrange the camera again. We will look through here with our eye, and we then use this dial to look for the line. There we go. And then you use this to zero it. So you zero it to about 0 Roentgen on the meter. The idea is now that when we put the lid back on the meter, wherever I put that, and I can't see it now, that's helpful, isn't it? You can hold this, there it is, you can hold this up to the light, and if I look through this now, I should be able to see, it's a bit dim in the lights in here. Get the needle set to 0 Roentgen. Let me try and demonstrate that on the camera. Alright, so there's the ceiling light, and if we put this here, let's see if we can get it, there you go, you can kind of see that there. I'll get it the right way up for you. There we go, that's the scale. I don't know if zooming out or in will help with this at all, but you can see what it says Roentgen. But what you should hopefully see, if I put it right, see the little line? Now that little line is there, it's zeroed, so when gamma radiation hits this, it will show you on here what your Roentgens are. So yeah, that's how you charge these using a DP-66 or the DP-75 Geiger counters. So yeah, there you go. That is the DP-75 Geiger counter kit. It is really nice actually. So I said Beastore's got these for sale, but I think some of them are listed as not necessarily in working order. If you get a working one though, these are very, very nice. So yeah, not loads more to say about it. If you're familiar with Geiger counters, you know all the basics of these anyway. But yeah, these were used by the Polish People's Army during the Cold War. I think Poland still actually uses some of these because they're pretty good units. And yeah, it's just a nice mechanical Geiger counter. So, as said before, for practicality reasons, if you want a modern Geiger counter, the best thing to go for is probably a little mini thing like the SOX01M. If you want an old, nice vintage piece of equipment that has a really high Roentgen per hour capacity, if you ever thought you might seriously need it for checking fallout or something, then something like this is ideal. So yeah, as said, thanks to Beastore for sending it me, and there'll be a link in the description to his eBay page, and these are listed on there for, I believe, £85. He probably also has some of the older DP-66s for sale for a cheaper price. So if you like the look of this but wanted something a bit more bulky and basic, you could go for that. But there you go, hopefully that's explained to you how these units work.